All right, good evening. My name is Jeremy Matthews. I'm with the Office of Professional Programs, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Fall 2020 Open House for the Biotechnology program at UMBC. Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, a couple of quick housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and in order to provide the best experience for both you and other attendees, we ask that you keep yourself muted throughout the session. Feel free to use the WebEx chat feature if you have questions that you'd like to ask during the presentation. At the end of our presentation, we do have an outlined Q&A period. During that time, if we aren't able to immediately answer your question, we'll make sure to get in touch with you via email afterwards. And we hope that you enjoy the presentation. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Dudley, who is the Graduate Program Director for Biotechnology.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. I really appreciate that. Welcome to tonight's presentation. It'll just be a brief overview of the program. And as Jeremy mentioned, we'll have time for any questions that you might have. If you're not already familiar with the campus, UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, is also present at our Shady Grove campus, and that's where our program is based. And so that is what you're seeing is a picture of the Shady Grove campus, which we're very thankful to be placed in a brand new biological sciences and engineering building that was just recently opened on campus. When we return to being in person, you'll have the opportunity to see that for yourself. And so in terms of our location, again, when we are back in person, we are in Montgomery County, Maryland, and conveniently located near Interstate 270. We're not very far from Washington, D.C., from the Washington Beltway, and also very commutable from the Baltimore area, as well as some of the other population centers within Maryland. And one of the areas that you can't see on the map, but that we have a number of students from, is the Frederick, Maryland area and Northern Virginia as well. So we offer a few academic programs where most of our students are in the Master of Professional Studies program. That is a 30-credit master's degree in biotechnology. And our biotechnology program really allows you to have coursework that is both technical in nature and business in nature. So it's a broad-based program that will yield a master's for you. We also have a graduate certificate. We do have people who start off in a graduate certificate program and then move into the master's program. That biotechnology management program is 4 courses or 12 credits. So as I mentioned, the biotech master's program is comprised of 30 credits. 6 of those credits, which is 18 credits, are core courses. So we go through an overview of the business of biotechnology. We have emerging topics in biotechnology, and that can vary depending on the semester that that particular class is given. Everyone is required to take experimental design. So that is probably one of our heavier technical courses and does require a background in statistics. We have management, leadership, and communication. As I mentioned, the program is a unique program because we really try to combine the business aspects of biotechnology with the technical aspects. We have legal and ethical issues in biotechnology. I happen to teach that class to give you a bigger sense of what some of the legal issues are, how those dovetail with some of the regulatory issues, as well as the ethical issues, the ethical frameworks in which some of our regulatory constructs are built. And then a capstone class where you really are encouraged to blend much of what you've learned from kind of both sides, from the technical and the business side. 4 electives are part of your curriculum, and those can be quite varied. We ran a course over the summer on biotechnology in an age of pandemic, where we talked about COVID-19 and how COVID-19 has really change the way that we look at some of both the technical aspects of the employment of biology and biotechnology in the marketplace, as well as some of the issues that have now come up and changed with respect to regulatory and ethics, and took a look at the history of pandemics as well. We have a few other classes that are coming online. We will be one of the elective courses. We're going to be talking about the list of electives, but one of the upcoming electives will be the global perspectives for regulatory. And so that's an upcoming course that we'll be offering in the spring. So many of our electives can kind of be grouped into a few different areas. The first four that you'll see are related to bioprocessing, because we are looking at upstream, downstream fundamentals of industrial processing, and quality control and quality assurance for biotechnology products. This is a segue then to many of the regulatory electives, regulatory issues, which is geared more toward drugs and biologics. We have GMP, good manufacturing processes for practices for bioprocessing. Again, quality control, GMP design, and as well as device and combination products. So we are looking at, we have more of that focus as well. Anybody who's familiar with the biotechnology industry knows that many, many things that we would have once considered purely drugs and biologics are now combination products because they come in dispensing devices. Project management is also considered an elective for our biotech program. And as I mentioned, we are developing new electives all the time. So we want to be able to stay on top of what's going on in our industry and offer those to you as quickly as we can, so you get the broadest base of opportunities in your education. And again, in the graduate certificate, you'll also take the business of biotechnology, management and leadership and communication, legal and ethical issues in the science professions, as well as project management fundamentals, because we do know that project management is really part of what many people in biotechnology really do need to learn. So we'd like to incorporate that, so you get a good balance of biotech and non-biotech issues. So in terms of our industry, we in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, the biohealth capital region, we are fourth in the nation. We are considered a biotechnology hub, and super excited about that, rising through the ranks. So we have many of the large biotechnology and biopharmaceutical companies are based in our area, we're very happy to say. And those include companies like AstraZeneca, GSK, and other large companies like that. We are just, Kite Pharma is now building new facilities here as well. So lots of interesting companies, lots of great opportunities in the area. And the master's degree is really something that you can build your career on as you want to move up within those kinds of organizations. And we do have many of our alumni who are now in leadership in those companies. So we're very thrilled the way those folks have been able to really parlay the things that they've learned here at UMBC into developing rewarding and exciting careers in biotechnology. Many of those people are also at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. So some of the things that we're really excited about our program is, first and foremost, it is industry relevant. We want to, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that you have expanded technical knowledge and that you're able to apply that. If you learn it today, you can apply it tomorrow in your role within a biotech company. Our instructors are absolutely top in their field. Many of those people are current practitioners, so these are people who are already in leadership roles, as I said, in some of our local companies, both large and small, and people who are actively involved in bioprocessing, in the regulatory, in in many of the aspects in experimental design and in many of the aspects of the things that we teach within the program. We like to consider that our program is very flexible. When we are in person, we are an evening program. Most of our courses, even though we've had to migrate many of them online, most of our courses are still taught in the evening so that you can go through your day. I know that many people who are working, even despite our particular change in life right now, many people still work during the day, and so the evening schedule is something that we wanted to stick with to make it as convenient as possible. We're very interactive. When we are in person in particular, we have a lot of discussions, but you'll see that even online, that the online environment still is still something that we encourage a lot of discussion, a lot of projects for students, and we really try to make this as interactive so that you can feel a part of the community that you're in, both with our professors and with your fellow classmates. We really do emphasize leadership building, leadership skills building. So this is something that not only are you going to get top-notch technical education, top-notch business education in this program, but we really view this as an opportunity to develop you and as a leader, and to really give you the tools that you need to make the most of your career in biotechnology. We also encourage and share with you many of the networking events that go on in the area, including some virtual events right now, webinars, and you have complete access to our career services support as well. So when our students come out, we're very pleased to say that most of them are coming out with opportunities in the biotechnology field, so they're able to really get into that. And for those people who are working while they're taking the program, many of those are able to immediately go and take advantage of new higher level opportunities within their organizations once they're out of the program. For anyone who might be working at NIH, we do have a relationship with NIH so that you can take coursework rather at FAES and transfer that into the program as well. And for information on that, you'll definitely want to contact FAES and see if that's something that you have the opportunity to do. The FAES certainly has their own requirements and rules for that coursework, but please do know that some of those courses, we have an agreement with FAES to transfer those into our program as well. So in terms of resources, I am a graduate program director. So in terms of the program information itself, please don't hesitate to contact me. And our UMBC administrative team is fabulous. Jeremy is certainly a part of that team. And any of the process questions that you might have, and I'll let Jeremy speak to this, by all means contact Jeremy Karina as well. She's another one of our great resources in the administrative and admissions area. So please do contact us with questions that you might have. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Connie. So I wanted to address a couple of questions that we actually had submitted before the event today. I work in the Office of Professional Programs. I'm part of that administrative team, as you just heard. So some questions about the actual application process I'm happy to answer. First and foremost, on screen right now, you can see the waiver code DPS 2021. That will waive the $50 application fee so that you can go ahead and get that application in. The deadline is not until December 1st. That's for both domestic and international students. December 1st is our current deadline. We are sometimes able to push that back a little bit depending on circumstances, but especially for international students, we recommend that you get that application in as soon as possible to make sure that we have time to consider it and to get in touch with you if we have any questions. There was a specific question about letters of recommendation. They are not required for the master's program in biotech. But we do always encourage you that if you have someone who can write you a letter of recommendation, that can always make your application stronger. It can supplement your transcript and tell us a little bit that your coursework would never be able to really get across just with a transcript. There was also a question about permission to work on and off campus for international students. I am not an expert on that subject. I would recommend contacting UMBC's International Education Services. There are certainly no restrictions put on you by the program as to where you are allowed to work. That would all be in terms of what your visa would or would not allow, which is why I can't say that I'm an expert there. And Connie, I'll pass this one to you. We also had a question about how much work experience would impact whether this program is right for you or not, whether you could come in without that work experience.
Thanks, Jeremy. Absolutely. We have many students who come in directly from their undergraduate training who are currently not working. Most of those people, because you do have to have a background, a technical background, we would still expect that you would have had some exposure to many of the concepts that we discuss in our coursework. So for many people, that means a background in biology, chemistry. We have a few folks with an engineering background who are also taking coursework. So it can vary, but we do encourage you to make sure that you have some of the basic biology coursework, chem, biochem, ideally organic chemistry as well. So you should be familiar with basic laboratory work, those kinds of things. So it's not a requirement that our students work or have work experience, but we do encourage you to get it. If you have the opportunity to get some experience, even as an unpaid intern or as a volunteer somewhere, we do really encourage that, because it, as Jeremy mentioned, there are many things that can make your application stronger. Having some work experience is one of those things, but it is not an absolute requirement. I hope I've answered that question, and if anybody else has a question, please do feel free to share your questions, and we're happy to answer those.
So again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to speak up or to put them into the chat. I just want to draw everyone's attention again. We have the Special Populations Code DPS 2021 to waive the $50 application fee. And I'll actually back the PowerPoint up a slide so you can see these emails, sgprofessionalprograms@umbc.edu, if you have questions about admissions or process kind of questions. If your questions are more about the program and the opportunities that it provides, please feel free to contact Dr. Dudley directly at cdudley@umbc.edu.